Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a truly visceral, step-by-step journey into a literal masterpiece of atmospheric poetry, Night by the incredible Wole Soyinka. We aren't just going to read this poem, we are going to experience it. Together, we'll track the chilling, emotional arc of a descent into absolute, inescapable darkness. Soyinka, he doesn't just describe the night, he makes you feel its weight, its intent, and its sheer, terrifying power. Let's get right into it. Right off the bat, instead of easing us in with soft, twinkling imagery, Soyinka just plunges us right into the thick of it. We start exactly where the speaker does, getting hit with this sudden, oppressive weight. Your hand is heavy, night, upon my brow. It's brilliant because it instantly personifies the night. It isn't just an absence of light, right? It's a living entity with hands, an actual physical weight pressing down right on the speaker's body. Seriously, think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a darkness so complete, so completely silent, that it actually felt heavy? That universal feeling connects us directly to the core stakes of this poem. It frames the speaker's impending undoing, not as some sort of abstract literary concept, but as a deeply relatable, primal human experience. We all know that specific, heavy quiet of the midnight hour. Section 1. The Heavy Arrival. So here we're exploring the sheer unavoidable force of the night making its presence known. The speaker immediately gives us a glimpse into their internal state, saying, I bear no heart mercuric like the clouds. To really get this, we got to understand that word mercuric. Basically, it means having a volatile, light, or easily changeable nature, kind of like liquid mercury or clouds just shifting effortlessly in the sky. By admitting they lack a heart mercuric, the speaker is flat out telling us they just don't have the lightness, the flexibility, or the energy to resist. They absolutely cannot fight back against what Soyinka calls the night's subtle plow. They're already beaten down. And that leads to this incredibly evocative image, woman as a clam on the sea's crescent. Just picture that clam resting on the vast curve of a pitch-black beach. What does a clam do when it's faced with an overwhelming, dangerous force? It snaps shut. It closes up defensively. And that's exactly what the speaker is doing, shrinking inward, desperately trying to build a protective shell against the immense, imposing vastness of the dark shoreline. Section 2. Extinguishing the sea's light. Now we're shifting from the speaker's isolated internal feelings to a magnificent external battle playing out right in front of them. It's a literal clash between light and dark on the water. Notice how this conflict unfolds. On one side, we've got the sea's fluorescence, that beautiful, glowing, incessant pulse of the ocean waves. It is alive, it's moving, it's radiant. But then on the other side, we have the jealous eye of the night. You see, the night isn't just some passive shadow. It actively uses its jealous eye to quench the sea's light. The dark is literally jealous of the light, and it violently, dominatingly snuffs out that beautiful pulsating energy of the ocean. The night is acting as a conqueror. Section 3. Submitting to the shadows. Having just witnessed the absolute defeat of the ocean's mighty light, we hit a crucial turning point. The speaker abandons all resistance. What we see here is a full-on cascade of physical submission. The speaker stands there watching the ocean's light die and says they stood drained, submitting like the sands. This sequence perfectly structures this really dense third stanza, proving that this surrender is an intensely bodily reaction. They feel their very blood and brine coursing to the roots. It is as if the speaker is literally dissolving, losing their human form and just melting into the earth and the sea. The boundaries between their own body and this overwhelming dark environment are just entirely collapsing. And this physical takeover continues with what I think is Soyinka's absolute sensory genius. Night rained serrated shadows. Think about it. Shadows are normally soft, fuzzy, immaterial things, right? But here, the darkness filtering through the trees is serrated. It's jagged, it's sharp, cutting, kind of like the blade of a knife. The night has become so incredibly dense and aggressive that it's palpable to the touch. It physically hurts. The physical takeover deepens with the word suffusion. The speaker describes being bathed in warm suffusion of your dappled cells. Now, suffusion is just the process of something gradually spreading through or over something else. Imagine a drop of dark dye spreading through a glass of water. Notice how the night totally envelops the speaker here. It's no longer just around them. It's actively seeping into them like a heavy, creeping liquid. Because the night has completely consumed their vision, the speaker's other senses go into terrifying overdrive. Sensations pained me, the poem reads. The sheer sensory overload of this dark environment becomes downright agonizing. Every little rustle, every tiny temperature shift introduces these invisible, stealthy threats that surround the speaker. Threats that are faceless and silent as night thieves. You know the feeling, right? When you can't see a thing, your imagination just populates the dark with monsters. Let's just take a breath here for a second. We are right on the edge. The light is dead. The speaker's body is drained, literally bleeding into the sand. The shadows are cutting them, and invisible thieves are surrounding them. So the big question is, what happens when the darkness completely, absolutely takes over the human mind? Section 4, the final primal dread. Suddenly, the tone takes a huge shift from poetic observation to a desperate, frantic plea. "Hide me now," the speaker begs. You can feel the absolute panic in these lines. They are desperately trying to hide from the night children that now haunt the earth. And who are these night children? Well, they're the unseen terrors, the spirits, the deeply rooted anxieties that only emerge when the world goes completely dark. The speaker is terrified of even hearing them, crying out, "I must hear none." It is pure, unfiltered panic. And this brings us right to the ultimate climax of the poem. The speaker declares that these misted cells will undo them. They are completely unraveling. The journey that started with a heavy hand on the brow has ended with the speaker stripped of all defenses, left entirely naked and unbidden at the absolute peak of the night. Their identity, their strength, their very sense of self has been systematically disassembled by the overwhelming power of the dark. Soyinka's true genius is how he takes a phenomenon that we all experience every single 24 hours and reveals the terrifying ancient power hidden inside it. He reminds us of just how fragile our daylight bravado really is. So I'm going to leave you with this to reflect on long after this explainer ends. When the lights truly go out and the heavy hand of the night rests upon your brow, what ancient fears undo you? Thanks so much for exploring this magnificent poem with me.